Say hello.
Hello.
Hi.
So basically, after the desert, we left the Colinas and headed towards Tombwa. So Tombwa was a nice little town. There was a really cool church that Rory from the Triton Trails actually told us about. Just before the town, it was on this cliff, cool white church, and we spent a little bit of time there, just looking out over the sea. It was really, really quite pretty. And we went into Tombwa to look for shops. We needed to get water. We wanted to stock up on some food, and we needed to get cash. It was chaos, and we struggled to find any kind of shop. So eventually we found an immigration office, and we just stopped there, and we just went up to the lady that was there and just asked her where we could get water, whether we could drink it, what water we could drink, whatever. And she said, no, you can't drink the tap water. You're going to have to buy from the shop. She also asked us for copies of our passports, which we gave her, but apparently they weren't good enough because we were using Google Translate at this point. She was typing something and then we typed something in, that kind of thing. So it was a bit of a slow process. So we just went, she said, follow me. So we went and we walked to a shop and then we bought some water. And then we walked on to a printing shop where she made copies of our passports. Yeah, we went back with her, took a photo. While we were at the printing shop, Beck saw a bank. So we decided we're just going to head that way. Got some cash. Yeah, so then the last thing on our list was getting petrol. And there was a nice big petrol station as you drove into Tombwa. So we thought we'd go back to that one rather than face the chaotic one pump station in town. But unfortunately, that petrol station didn't have any fuel. So we went back. Tombwa also didn't have. And then we thought we'd go check out Cabo Negro, which is the spot where Diogo Cao landed on his first expedition. It was the furthest south any European had gone at that point in time. He later then broke his record. Diogo Cao was a Portuguese explorer, and he put up one of those. What are they? Yeah, one of those crosses. There's only the stump left now. The real one, I think, is in Lisbon. Yeah, it was a really nice little bay. And we did consider camping there for a while just so that we could go to Tombua and get fuel the next day because they said it was coming that day, but they didn't know when. But it was a bit dirty. By dirty, I mean a bit of rubbish lying around. It didn't feel quite remote enough. Basically, what we decided to do, the game plan, was that we would drive on the tar road to Nami because that was only about 100 k's and we could definitely do that. Then get fuel there and then drive down towards Flamingo Lodge on the coast and find a spot to camp along the way. So essentially we did that, got to Nami, got our fuel, full tank and a jerry can, and then we headed down the coast. And we actually made it to a really nice wild camping spot just kind of as it was really getting dark. And we had some delicious smash and beans. Wild camping in the Angolas, making smash and beans, the classic. What are you eating? Cheese.
Cheese.
Raw cheese. Raw cheese. And just before dinner.
This has been our biggest fight on the trip.
That's jail time. That's jail time. Do we have a long day, Bex? Quite long.
It was fun though.
Yeah, it was wild. Dave's light coming in clutch. Okuka? And it was quite hectic. We were really close to the sea, on top of like a cliff, so nowhere near the water. Yeah, it's just a small cliff. But it was really, really beautiful. And we were quite sheltered from the wind, but it was pumping, so we did still get a bit of wind. But it died during the night, which was really nice. So then the next morning, we just had a nice coffee there. Coffee!
Can you see it?
Yeah. Ooh, what's that?
Dirty nails.
Ring! Because I'm assuming they found it on Overlanding. And then we headed down the coast towards Flamingo Lodge. We really didn't know anything about what the coast would be like. It was mostly deserted. Quite pretty though. Again, a lot of rubbish. Yeah, and then we found some local guys who were fishing with a hand line. And I stopped and I thought I'd have a go at fishing with them. Managed to lose a sinker and a hook and not catch anything. But while we were there, these other guys, South African guys, they drove past and they were actually staying at Flamingo Lodge. We had a nice chat and they were like, oh no, you must come stay at Flamingo Lodge. The one guy, Wayne, he said he's been living in Angola for 5 years and he could give us lots of tips about where to drive, where not to drive, what to see, what's cool and all of those kinds of things. So that was really cool. We ended up going to Flamingo Lodge and it was just a really cool little spot. Had a donkey and hot showers and really, really nice, really lovely restaurant bar area. So we decided we'd spend 2 nights there because the price was also reasonable. We had our first shower in 6 nights at that stage. Proper shower, yeah. Proper shower in 6 nights, which was really, really nice. And yeah, just had good chats with Alex and Wayne and really lots of helpful tips from Wayne. So it kind of changed our whole route of Angola a little bit, but we're really excited for that. So the next day we just drove back to the main road and went to Mosamides, where we did a big shop at the ShopRite. Then next thing on the list was to find a hardware store to see if we could find some silicone. But the one that we could find on our maps thing wasn't a hardware store, it was a furniture store. And then a local guy tried to help us, who took us to another furniture store and then to a stationery store. Shame, he was really trying. But I think a hardware store just doesn't translate into Portuguese very well.
But we gave him a beer and also just a bit of money. He did drink the beer on the way to the second place we tried to find.
We just drove up the coast or northwards, again on the EN 100, until we got to a certain turnoff in the road, and we just headed straight down towards the coast on a 4x4 track. And we are now at Praia do Forado, I think, which is close to Praia do Soba. And it's just a really lovely little wild camping spot. Obviously been well used by other overlanders, just on this huge cliff overlooking a beautiful bay. And it's been stunning. We had no wind yesterday or out throughout the night. And there was something we were worried about because of the cliff. But it was really nice. Took some really nice videos with the drone. Went for a walk down on the beach. Yeah, it's really beautiful. Unfortunately, we couldn't drive down to the beach because there's a little house on the beach and they've chain locked the ways down, but we could walk down, and it was perfectly nice being up on the cliff and having the lovely view. Yeah, I think that's it for now.
Bye.
I can't escape this memory. It's like a dream, it's got me up all night again, and you're all that I can see. But I've been here before, I've crossed so many roads, never needed more than I could hold. Running and returning, in a vision you're a ghost in black and white, a silhouette in blue and green. I lay awake at night and wait for you to come. Been hanging on so hard and now I can't let go.
Hello. So it's been a very long time since we've had our last debrief, but basically from the spot on the cliffs, we headed back towards the EN 100 and we just continued north. And the road was actually very good for the most part. There was a couple of potholes as we cleared some passes, but it was good tar road and really desolate landscape for the most part. But every now and then we would kind of cross like a river mouth. Bentiaba was one of the towns, and it got really lush at the estuary, and it was actually really cool, like palm trees and farmland, and it was really, really pretty. So we had some really beautiful sights there. Eventually the EN 100 becomes kind of a big gravel road. You can kind of see where they're continuing to tar the road. We didn't see any road works, but there was like a gravel section next to the actual road that they're tarring. It looks like there's some work in progress there. But luckily, as we got to the gravel road, we actually turned west towards the coast and we headed towards Meva Beach. And before we got to our actual place that we were staying, we stopped off at the Cabo Santa Maria, which is another place that Diogo Cao stopped at on his way down. And that was a really beautiful viewpoint, really stunning, awesome, huge bay with an island in the middle of it, and a fishing village, and then there was also a tiny little bay just in front of us.
I'm in a rolling wave that moves across the line. Am I losing my faith? We're gonna lose it in time.
The Meva Beach was really, really beautiful. We basically camped right on the beach. There were some old abandoned gazebos, and it was just really nice. We had a lovely afternoon.
It's on iOverlander. It says that you can pay someone to stay there. So when we got there, we looked for someone to pay, but there was no one there. And we thought, oh, well, someone will come to us eventually. So we had our braai, enjoyed the evening, beautiful sunset. That night, we had gone to bed quite early.
We were both fast asleep by this point, and there was a guy outside, and he was just like, hola, hola, patron. And they held up this old sheet, looked like some license, 5,000 kwanza for the car. And I was like, okay, shit, Yeah, so I got out, got the 5,000, gave it to them.
It wasn't fun being woken up. But, I mean, all's well that ends well. It was perfectly fine. We paid and then we had a lovely stay, but did give us a bit of a fright.
So then the next morning, we saw a little mullet in the water. So I went for a little fish, didn't end up catching anything. But we basically enjoyed the time on the beach, just the morning and spending just a tiny bit of time there. We saw some cool stuff. We saw something poke its head out of the water every now and then. And then we also saw a fin kind of like coming out. So we ended up taking the drone out and we saw 2 turtles. We saw the mullet. It was really cool just looking at the bay. And then eventually it came out again and it was a fin whale, which was like right in the bay, and it was really, really cool. So we followed that for a bit. I was quite surprised by that. So that was really, really cool.
In the morning I just stand alone outside and I watch them blow away. It's so hard to find a friend these days. Oh, babe, I'm sinking. Summer comes and rain gets in. It's like I'm looking through the glass on the other side. I'm not trying to make you wait, but I don't need it anymore, and I can't turn back and give it all away when it's all I had.
Basically, after that, we headed back towards the EN100, which is our go-to road for going up the coast in Angola. From Dombe Grande, it was again really nice tar road all the way to Benguela and Lobito. And that was also quite an experience driving through there. Lots of motorbikes and other cars and not a whole lot of lanes going on, but it was really fun.
No, it's fine. It's good for just how it looks. It doesn't look pretty. It's not capturing chaos. Chaos there is.
Someone on your left just came out.
There was no fuel at Benguela. I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but Angola has very cheap fuel and lots of petrol stations, but probably maybe about half of them to a third of them have petrol. So it's always good to fill up when you can, because a lot of petrol stations we've come to just didn't have any fuel. Luckily though, Lobito, which is just 10 k's up the coast, it almost feels like it's connected, did have fuel. So we did a little shop at the ShopRite and then we got fuel, and then we headed out essentially just eastward back inland on the EN100, and we got some really cool views driving through kind of like the almost shanty towns. Looked quite a lot like favelas, as you would imagine in Brazil. And then after Lobito, the road got really, really tropical. It was really weird, actually, quite a shock. Loads of baobabs, very green. And unfortunately, the road was quite narrow and there were lots of trucks. So it was really tough to actually stop and take videos. And we were starting to get a bit pushed for time at this point. So we kind of rushed through it, but we got a cool couple of nice videos, but unfortunately nothing too hugely cinematic. But yeah, really tropical and so many baobabs. Eventually, we kept driving and we got to Katana's Point, which is a little surf camp, and we stayed there for the night. It was quite nice. They had a toilet, like a beach shower, like an open shower. Then after that, we continued up the coast and headed towards Cabo Ledo, where we parked at the Praia dos Surfistas, which is just a cool surfing beach, and we stayed in the kind of beach parking lot, which was really nice because it's free during the week. It's very close to the beach, 20-30 meters from the beach. Unfortunately, we couldn't park on the beach because we have obviously a car, and that's a protected beach because of turtles. But people can camp on the beach in ground tents, and a couple of people did, which was really nice. So it was a really cool vibe. We met some cool people that were cycling through Angola. There was no toilet. We did end up driving 20 k's in total to a petrol station to go to the toilet on the first day, but the petrol is so cheap, so it's fine. But on the second night, we had a really nice braai on the beach. We made some nice chicken and butternuts, and that was really cool.
So there actually was a toilet. There was a bar, and the bar had toilets. And on Overlander, it said that you could use those toilets. They give you a little card, and it costs essentially 25,000 kwanza. And basically, I mean, you can spend that card in the bar on principle. We just didn't want to do that. So anyway, we couldn't use the bathroom. So too expensive for our standards at the moment. Angola has spoiled us a little bit. We've paid very little for accommodation. So
yeah, but it was a beautiful spot. So then we went on to Luanda, and there we stayed at the Club Naval, which was really, really nice.
it's on Overlander. You're allowed to just camp in the parking lot. You do have to message beforehand, but all you have to do is pay for parking. Restaurants, there's basketball courts, there's paddle courts, there's like 4 paddle courts, and a little bar, and there's also a nice shower, hot water, toilets, so lovely spot.
Driving into Luanda, we did end up getting fined by some very aggressive and frothing at the mouth policeman who said that our Jimny was a passenger vehicle and we weren't allowed to put things in the back other than people. So we ended up paying him 20,000 kwanza to make the problem go away. His words. So definitely not legit, but anyways, you pay the toll and you move on. But we had 2 really nice nights there. We met some cool people that were traveling down from Europe as well. They've been on the road for 7 months in like a Unimog thing. So we had some nice chats. It was quite nice but social. But basically, after our 2 nights, we went to the fortress of São Miguel, which is a military museum in Angola, and it was really, really awesome. Like, so cool to visit. Just really stunning. The fortress is in great shape. And the museum, the exhibitions, old guns, and especially the exhibition on the Angolan Civil War was really like modern. They had kind of interactive things. It was loads of documentaries, probably hours of information that we didn't even take in. But it was really, really cool. All the battles and everything. So that was really cool to see. And then from there, we basically just headed up the coast. To where we are now, which was recommended to us by those overlanders. And it's just a lodge north of Umbreeze, south of Enzetu, where you can camp for free, basically. So that's where we are now. And we got stopped 5 times by police coming up this road. Every time it was kind of like chill. They looked at our passport, looked at my driving license. Sometimes they wanted the import permit for the car, sometimes not. Generally quite friendly. It was just weird that we got stopped so many times, but I don't know, maybe I think they see our car and it's quite an awesome looking car, so they, obviously take an interest.
As Benita said, everything's pretty chilled. The only thing that's difficult for me to wrap my head around, and it always makes every interaction feel a little bit stressful, even if it's very friendly, is that they all have massive guns. I don't know what type of guns they are.
Well, anything from assault rifles, like old AKs and FALs, to like SMGs. Like we saw policemen with Uzis. But basically, we got here quite late. I think it was basically sunset. So we ate a nice, quick, easy canned meal on the gas. And some families from Luanda, I think, came by today, and they're also camping here with us. So it's quite nice. Oh, and they gave us this really nice chocolate cake. Very nice of them. But yeah, it just feels like a good vibe. And this is the furthest north I think we'll ever be on this trip, unless we go to the equator, which Becca's quite keen for. Until we get to southern Tanzania, that might become an option to go further north. But until then, this will be the furthest north we've gone. And I went further than Becca on the beach. So I've gone the furthest north.
Debatable.
Tomorrow, we head to Kalandula Falls. And that'll be another video of our journey south. But that's it for now.